Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And welcome to another edition of Darryl's half-hour therapy session. Yeah, that's right. It's the time where I'll go over some things, self-help sort of stuff, and, it's as much about helping me as it is helping you. And, there are two ways that people can learn lessons, right? There might be more than two, but there are two primary ways that people learn lessons. Well, there's one way, but two different ways of, going about this, right? Experience. Your experience, or you can learn from other people's experience. A lot of times that comes in the form of making mistakes, right? So, like if you learn at a young age, don't touch hot things, if mom and dad say, don't touch the stove, that's hot, you learn pretty quick, don't touch the stove, it's hot. Now, if you were lucky, then maybe you had a brother or sister that might have been a little bit older and you saw them touch the hot stove, or maybe they told you, hey, listen when they say don't touch something, it's hot, it is actually hot and it'll hurt you. So you can learn from your experience, you can learn from other people's experience. But there are times that we don't learn things at a young age. And, some of it, I'm not talking about like super advanced calculus. Yeah, you can't learn that when you're 2 years old. But there are other things, important life lessons that sometimes people either learn, when they're much older, or they never learn. I've got a list here of 7 things that you don't want to learn too late. The article comes from lifehack.org. The author says, we should never regret too much in our lives. However, there comes a time when we realize that there are things that if we had known earlier, we could have benefited from and, actually wound up benefiting in our younger years. Maybe we only come to the realization through personal growth and experience, but sometimes we can go through life not being fully aware of situations until we hit a crisis point that leads us to question whether we truly did or cherished things to the best of our ability. How often have you ever thought to yourself, I wish I'd had known this when I was younger? There's an overwhelming feeling that if your younger self had just been more enlightened or aware, then you could have dealt with emotions and situations more readily, or just moved forward with a more knowledgeable mindset and perspective on life. With this in mind, here are 7 important life lessons that will change your perspective and mindset to enhance your experience of life for the better, and things that hopefully we can learn before it's too late. And is there really a too late? I guess, if you learn a lesson and then you are walking down the street and get hit by a car and you die, then yeah, you kind of learned it too late. But, otherwise, and let me just sort of pause here to say that I oftentimes get accused of being pedantic, and part of it is because, I want to make sure that I'm accurate in what I say, but also because no matter what you say, there's always going to be somebody that tries to say, well, you didn't say this the proper way. There are always, I believe the scientific term is haters. The haters. No matter what you do, there's going to be the haters. I saw a graphic online a couple days ago where it said, this is society. Showed 2 people riding on a donkey and 2 people standing there. Oh, I can't believe there's 2 people riding on that donkey. They're abusing that animal. And then it shows I think it's supposed to be a man and a woman, and it shows the woman walking next to the donkey. It says, "Can't believe the guy's riding the donkey and he's making the woman walk." And then the next frame, the woman's on the donkey and the guy is walking beside, and then the onlookers say, "Oh, I can't believe that he's making the woman ride the donkey by herself. She doesn't necessarily know how to do that." So, and then the final frame is the two people walking next to the donkey, and the two onlookers say, "Oh, I can't believe they're walking next to the donkey. They don't even know how to use the animal." But that's the way society is, right? No matter what you do, somebody's always going to criticize it. No matter how much you say, and yes, I believe in the free market, but there are still things that I criticize about the way businesses, have some of their practices, and people will object. "Well, you shouldn't be criticizing that because you support a free market and they're making a business decision." Yet I have the right to say that I disagree with the decision. Just because I believe in a free market doesn't mean that businesses are exempt from criticism. Just because you believe in free speech doesn't mean that somebody gets the right to say whatever they want without being criticized. And I know that. You can criticize me all day long. But the reason that, some of the times I'm pedantic is because I know that there are people that are going to wind up criticizing stuff, so I want to try covering all the bases before I have to respond to criticism. And then I get criticized for trying to cover all the bases. But I digress, and I continue with number 1 here on the list of 7 things that we need to learn sooner rather than later. Number 1, be present in the here and now. And this is something that I've talked about a good bit about, don't worry too much about the future, don't dwell too much on the past. And it's something that I still struggle with. I really, really do. The author here says, "We spend so much time rehashing the past or planning for the future that we often forget to experience the present moment. The present moment is what is happening to us right now. Happiness can only exist in the present moment. The past is gone, the future hasn't come yet, so the present moment is all we have. Our minds have a habit of running at 100 miles an hour, and this means we are rarely just being in the here and now. Try stopping and looking around and see what is happening right now." Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Speaking of the here and now, are you right now an advocate for free market money? Do you right now use Bitcoin and promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? If so, then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend-A-Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin accepting merchant, like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. Continuing on now with the 7 things you don't want to learn too late in life. These are life lessons that you don't want to learn too late in life. Number 1 is be present in the here and now. Number 2, don't rule your life by what you think you should or should not do. And now they're not saying here, and again, this is Darryl being pedantic, because I know that there are people that, if I don't say this, might wind up sending me hate mail of, well, you said that you shouldn't live your life by what people should or shouldn't do, but that's saying that people should do something, so you're telling them what they should do. Well, that's not what they're saying here. They're also not saying that, and again, I'm reading into this a little bit, you should not violate your neighbor's inherent rights. They're not saying don't live your life based on, oh, well, I can just do whatever I want to and kill people because they said I shouldn't live my life based on what I should or shouldn't do. That's not what they're saying. Use some common sense. I continue. Society, or our family's expectations, often tend to make us think that there are things that we should do. I should go to college. I should get a degree. I should not pursue my dreams because I won't make the same amount of money as if I wound up working in a dead-end office job. That is what they're talking about by the should and shouldn't. Don't live your life based on what what other people think that you should do as far as how you live your life, not how you interact with humans and be a decent human being. How about that? Instead of nitpicking everything that somebody says and, expecting people to want to try covering all the bases and then nitpick when they cover all the bases, how about you just try to be a decent human being? How about that? That's something that you should do. You should be a decent human being, but you should not let other people's expectations of what they think how you should live your life, the things that they wish that they had done, or maybe the things that they regretted in life. Don't live your life based on other people's expectations of what they wish they had done, so they're going to try to force it upon you. We all have these should and shouldn'ts. You should go to college. You should get a dead-end office job. You should not follow your dreams. We all have those circling in our minds. But when we make these statements, who exactly are we making them to? Who exactly are we trying to get permission from? And why is this even acceptable? Living your life the way you want to is the only way to be happy. Stop limiting yourself because of other people's expectations. It's your life and no one else's. Number 3, don't make things bigger than they are. Our minds can work against us, and through mindsets we develop and fears that take over, we can often make problems much bigger than they actually are. It's all about perspective. How many times have you thought something was a huge deal, but a day, a week, or a month, or longer down the line, you don't even think about it anymore? That's because your mind likes to focus and blow up worries and problems that aren't actually problems. Next time this happens, just take a moment to ask yourself, realistically, will I still be thinking about this tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years from now, etc.? Most of the time, the answer will be no. So eliminate all the unnecessary worry you put yourself through. Number 4, face your fears. We all have them. Some are justified, some are not. And let's just go over some fears real quick. Most people first thought of fear of spiders, fear of heights, fear of snakes. Then there's the fear of death, the fear of the unknown, the fear of public speaking. And I've seen studies to where a larger percentage of people actually have a higher fear of public speaking than they do of death. And that's, on the one hand, interesting, on the other hand, disturbing. That people fear standing in front of a crowd and talking. They fear that more than they do no longer living. But, again, are those justified fears? Well, some are, some are not. I'm not scared of heights. However, there are certain circumstances and situations that I will not put myself in because I know that, there's a possibility that I could fall. And it's not the heights or the fall that I'm scared of. It's that, sudden stop at the end. So, I have a healthy respect for heights. Now, there are some people that their, fear of heights means that they will not get onto an airplane and fly somewhere because they somehow fear that they will just, fall out of an airplane. I would say that that's not a justified fear. But if you're climbing a mountain and you don't have any ropes or equipment, then, yeah, being scared of falling, justified fear. But it's one of those things to where, you've got to kind of face that fear. And let me actually get into what they say here. But to grow and really get as much out of life as you can, you need to face your fears. Remember that many of your fears are only a product of your mind. They don't actually exist. When you start to realize this, doing things you find intimidating and scary will actually become easier. The feelings you get from facing your fears head on will be the best and the most rewarding feelings you've ever had. Guaranteed. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry. Online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. We've all heard the story about the tortoise and the hare. And what exactly does that have to do with life lessons? Because we've all heard the story, right? We've all heard the story from the time we were, where I grew up. This is a saying, knee-high to a grasshopper. That basically means from the time you were very, very young. We've all heard the story of the tortoise and the hare, to where the hare, I'm so much faster than the tortoise, I can just, stop and have a tea and go do this and don't have to worry because I'm just so fast and speedy, speedy, speedy. And the tortoise just keeps moving forward. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race and just keeps moving forward. And because the hare, I can just go do whatever, and I'm just going to win the race no matter what I do. And then what happens? Tortoise, slow and steady wins the race, winds up winning the race. This is number 5 on the list of 7 things that you need to learn before it's too late. These are life lessons. The first 4, be present in the here and now. Don't rule your life by what you think you should or should not do, i.e., don't force yourself to necessarily live up to society's standards of what is an acceptable career or an acceptable job or an acceptable living situation. Be happy. Now, you should not infringe on other people's rights. That's not what they're saying when they say don't rule your life by what you think you should or should not do. Number 3, and this is for all of you that want to try criticizing because I didn't properly cover all the bases. Yeah, you know who you are. Don't make things bigger than they are. Specifically, they're talking about, the fears that sort of grow in your mind to where, sometimes it's, just a tiny, tiny, tiny little titmouse, but the way the light hits it, it makes it look like big, scary monster. That's just, kind of your mind and an illusion, right? Number 4, face your fears more often. Number 5, slow and steady wins the race. When we were younger, we tended to aim high and want everything quickly. When we set ourselves goals, we give up easily when we don't get the results immediately. Our modern world has conditioned us to expect and obtain things in the blink of an eye, which has led us to believe that this can be the same for our dreams, our goals, and our ambitions. The secret to success is small steps for big changes. Our goals are there to help us achieve and grow, and we can't do this if things happen quickly with no area for learning or getting a sense of achievement from it. Remember to set yourself small, attainable goals that will help towards your dreams, and know you are on the right path no matter how long it takes. And we've talked previously about, these setting these smaller tasks that help towards the goal. And I love the example, I believe it was Brett Venot from the School Sucks Project, that gave the example of if you need to clean the kitchen and you walk into the kitchen and you just see an absolute mess. There's, pasta sauce all over the stove, the floor's a mess, the sink is full of dishes, there's stuff on the counters. You walk in, I don't know where to begin, and you turn around and walk away and you've still got a big giant mess. However, if you break it down into smaller tasks of I'm going to clean the counters, I'm going to wipe the stove, I'm then going to sweep the floor, and then I'm going to wash the dishes. Then you've done several small tasks, and you can see instead of starting to wash a dish and then wipe the counter and then this and trying to do everything all at once, and then it just becomes so overwhelming that eventually you give up. But you have small, simple tasks, and you do those, and then when you finish all of your small, simple tasks, ta-da, your kitchen is clean. You have achieved your goal. Number 6, stop assuming what other people are thinking. And yes, I know I've done that numerous times during this podcast. I do that quite often here, partly because, there is this inside voice, or yeah, technically it's inside because it's inside my head. And now, before you start saying, oh, Darryl's hearing voices. No, I know it's not a real voice, but it's, that sort of subconscious sort of thing of, hey, make sure you say this. And some of that is me assuming what the haters are going to wind up saying as an objection to, oh, well, Darryl didn't say this, this, and this, so therefore his entire argument's invalid, even though he covered the other 99% of the topic. So yes, sometimes I do assume what other people are thinking, but I should probably stop doing that in most cases. The author of the article here says we can often make huge assumptions about what others are thinking, whether they are judging us for something or thinking badly about an opinion that we have. The bottom line is the world doesn't revolve around you. Everyone around you is dealing with their own problems, worries, and insecurities, and chances are they aren't paying as much attention as you may think. And now, some people might wind up saying, see, Darryl, it said right there that people aren't paying attention to you. Well, they're not talking about people that are doing podcasts. They're not talking about, media personalities. They're not talking about, people that are otherwise public figures here. They're talking, regular average Joe walking down the street, and generally when I'm walking down the street, I'm, not some kind of guy that just stands out. Do you know who I am? That's not me. I am, like an unassuming person. Stay tuned. There's more. We'll go through it.
It is the year 91,001 BCE. Witness humanity's origins in Hyperchronius, a classic role-playing game for Windows PCs, with a story like no other game before. A liberty-oriented experience that is not to be missed. Go to zog.ninja to get your copy of Hyperchronius today. Use the code FPP to get $1 off. Hyperchronius, zog.ninja, code FPP.
You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerary supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com.
Hi, I'm Nick Hazelton from the Anarcho-Yakutalism podcast, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Going through the 7 life lessons that we need to learn before it's too late in life. Number 6 here is stop assuming what other people are thinking. Stop caring and, even worse, assuming what other people are thinking. You would not want anyone to assume what you're thinking, so why do it to others? Number 7, and this is probably the most important, which is, why they saved the best for last, right? Number 7, appreciate everything in your life. One of the most important life lessons is appreciation. The older we get, the more we appreciate the things in our life, including people, experiences, lessons we've learned, and even our possessions. Establishing this habit early on is better because gratitude and appreciation is the true key to happiness. The sooner you can be enlightened to this and integrate this into your everyday life, the more you'll be able to live in the present moment and be thankful for what makes your life a good one, no matter how small the thing is that you're appreciating. So whether it's the shower you get to take every morning, the nature around you, your pets, the one person who you can't talk to, or rather that you can talk to about anything, the food in your refrigerator or sitting on your shelf, appreciate it all and realize the abundance that's really present in your life. This will transcend you into the rest of your life and establish the positive mindset needed to live a happy and healthy life. Your older self will definitely thank you. And again, these are the 7 important life lessons to learn sooner rather than later. Let me recap here, going through 1 through 7. Be present in the here and now. Don't rule your life by what society thinks you should or should not do. Number 3 is don't make things bigger than they are. Number 4, face your fears more often. Number 5, slow but steady wins the race. Again, think tortoise and the hare here. Small task, get those done, and they help you accomplish bigger task. Bigger task help you wind up ultimately achieving your goals. Number 6, stop assuming what other people are thinking. And number 7, appreciate everything in your life. Don't forget, every Friday, I'm answering your questions. Send those over to AMA@FPPradio.com. This has been Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.